I guess just tell us what year is this?
It's a 2004.
2004, and obviously it's a M3. What's all done to the engine?
Just different pistons, lower compression. Really not a whole lot. Head's all stock.
Right.
So yeah, it's gone from stock 11-1 down to about 9.5-1.
Okay, what size is the turbo on it?
It's a 6766 ball bearing.
What did it make last time on, I guess, on horsepower fixed dyno when it was first done?
Roughly, if you're running race fuel and methanol and everything, it'll put down about 750.
Right.
I pretty much never run race fuel in it unless I'm going to take it to the track. So just pump gas, it's right around 6 to the wheels. With methanol, it's about 675 to the wheels.
Heck yeah. Is there any transmission stuff or anything like that done to it?
The only thing that's done to the transmission, it's a stock M3 transmission, but the gears have been polished a little bit.
Right.
Other than that, a little better synchros.
What's the management stuff on this thing?
That's still, it's an AEM that was made specifically for horsepower freaks at the time.
Right.
It's due for an upgrade.
It's weird because it's older technology. You just don't see it anymore. But for, how many years has this been on this build?
Since 2007.
Right.
So yeah, 13 years. But unfortunately, there's nobody that can do any kind of tuning on it anymore because you can't tie into the system anymore. Horsepower freaks had a lockout code that they put on it so that customers wouldn't screw with it, which is probably a good idea.
Right.
Now that there's E85 available in town, I think it's time for an ECU upgrade and
Heck yeah.
new fuel system and squeeze a little more out of it.
What size are what's the wheels on it? Obviously they're raised, but
The fronts are going to be 18 by 8.5, I believe. The rears are 18 by 10.
still having issues kind of hooking with it, or?
It hooks pretty well.
Yeah.
As long as the tires are in good shape.
So you got a 305 on there, so.
Yep.
Yeah. And then what's all done with I guess you can kind of talk about what's been done back here.
Well, originally, Horsepower Freaks had done the standard subframe reinforcement. These cars have always had issues with subframe. So back in the day, they had a kit that you could buy that was basically just a couple plates that you weld into the trunk to kind of beef it up. But eventually, the entire trunk pan actually started pulling loose from the car. So I took it over to the guys at Hard Motorsport, and they pretty much put everything back together and did some serious reinforcement on everything. Basic suspension, it's lowered a little bit on HR springs and Coney shocks, nothing special.
Right. Still kind of, so you got a shifter in there, kind of.
Yes.
Talk about this.
So, this is also a shifter that you would get from Hard Motorsports. It's a CAE shifter. It's a German-made shifter. There have been some knockoff shifters made in the States because overseas patents don't really apply over here. So that is the genuine CAE. They make those shifters for Subarus, Mitsubishis, a few other cars. They're a great shifter. It's still, even though it looks tall, it's still a short throw shifter because everything is actually above the tunnel.
Right.
So it's got its own independent springs. It's not using the springs from the transmission, so it's pretty tight.
What's the controller you got here on the dash?
That's Horsepower Freak's traction control.
Yeah.
Because the factory traction controls in these cars is extremely aggressive. If he even senses a little wheel slip, it just slams the throttle shut.
Right.
So that's actually an adjustable, depending on how good your tires are or whatnot. So it works fairly well.
Anything else that's been done to it?
Not really. It's still stock rear end. I finally went with a solid driveline, even though honestly it's not really necessary. These cars, the driveline and most of the components hold up extremely well to the beating that they take.
Right.
I've seen these cars, some of them make 1,000 horse at the wheels, It's still running stock rear end, stock transmissions, drive lines, side shafts, and all that, and they hold up pretty well.
Sweet. Big front mount. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, hard to be a sleeper when it kind of looks like this.
Yeah.
Looks really good though, man. Sweet. Well, you want to put some GoPros on it and go for a little rip?
Sure.
Sweet.
Where do we want to go? To the freeway?
Yeah, sure. Maybe we could always head this way and then hop back. Yeah. Right. I was looking, I didn't see antennas or anything like that, so I was like, oh, I hope we're good.
He's not coming yet.
No. Gets up to speed and it just like obviously you said you still have a little bit of problem rubbing, but it just squats and goes. This thing does really well.
Yeah, the Mickey Thompsons, you start getting over about 140, they get a little squishy.
Right.
The R888s are a little better for high speed, but I think the Mickey Thompsons are just a little more sticky.
For the traction, yeah. Yeah, she gets down pretty good. It's kind of funny, I was sitting at home cleaning the house and hit me up to come do a video in this car. About dropped everything I was doing. So thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Fuck, it's hard to find time on the weekends.
Oh yeah.
Because I work over in Seattle all week.
Yep.
So when I come home, it's either fucking yard work or something got to get done around the house.
It's hard to get out and enjoy your car sometimes. I got lucky. Family went out of town, so. What's the, I guess you ran it at the track before, right?
Yeah. Best I've got is 11 flat.
Right.
I've done that like 3 fucking times in a row.
Yeah.
He just refuses to run anything with a 10. But, you know, this has got a different turbo. I've never run this turbo at the track.
Right.
It's the same size that I had before, but I went from a journal bearing to a ball bearing. And it's definitely less laggy. So,
yeah, it hits pretty hard.
If I get everything dialed in, you know, I think I got a little bit of a boost leak right now because I think I'm only hitting about 20 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
It should be about 23. But I think this turbo would probably squeak a high 10.
Heck yeah.
Which, still, this car just is not great for launching. But the average trap's about 138, so. Good. Yeah, fortunately it's still got the speed limiter on it.
Right. It doesn't feel like it ever stops calling.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
The speedometer reads about 160 when it comes in.
Right.
And it's pulling hard right up until the speed limiter, so I know it would keep going well past that.
Right.
It's like at some point I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I really want to go that fast.
Yeah. So do you have any kind of rolling anti-lag yet, or is that kind of...
No.
Yeah.
Anti-lag for the S54 is because they use valve shims.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of looking into doing anti-lag for just better launches and shit at the track.
Right.
But everything I've read says anti-lag is terrible on these engines because they start chucking valve ships. Oh fuck! Look at this motherfucker.
Nothing to see here. Super good timing, man. Good thing we weren't doing a pull like this way.
Let's just get it.
Yeah, good idea.
That was lucky timing, right?
I didn't even see what we got up to. I was trying to film it, but I wasn't really like watching. He said it doesn't launch very well, right?
No, it's a little tough to get out of the hole. Well, of course, at the track, you know, you're just fucking, your adrenaline's going, and you end up just dumping the fucking clutch.
Right.
You know, with some practice, I'm sure I could do better, but I mean, usually I'm like a 1.9 60 foot. It just sucks.
You chop that down quite a bit. Sure, you probably.
Yeah, if I could get down to a 1.6, I mean, it'd be fucking, you know, I'd be pulling 10.7.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
I've watched it at the track a few times, and you can tell it's spinning, you know. Not like whatever, but you know, at least
It's pretty little. I think a lot of the tire smoke people see is just the rubbing.
Yeah. Remember that dyno video I had? It was just every time you would lay into it, it would just get the tires.
Yeah, I know down at Horsepower Freaks when they were dyno it, they had pictures. They'd have like fucking 5-gallon water bottles in the trunk and 2 dudes sitting in there.
Right. So did you? I think I remember there was an old video. Did they fly you down there to get the car, or how did that go?
On the very original build, yeah, I drove the car down there and just dropped it off, and then so I flew down there, and the owner actually came in my car and picked me up at the airport,
Right.
and then let me drive back to do the first drive, and yeah, that was.
Remember,
Of course, I was new to any kind of fucking horsepower at that point. You know, the fastest car I had was probably my El Camino,
right.
which was a turd.
It's kind of crazy because they had a lot of cars out, and then
I think they built probably about 120 of these
really.
before everything went shit house.
Mm-hmm. You haven't had any major issues, really, have you?
Well, I mean the first engine that was in here, I finally blew a rod.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't really know why. I was in that coffee place was over there. I pulled out on the highway, just first gear. I fucking nailed it, and it didn't even hit the rev limiter.
Right.
Just whop, fucking bam. Really no explanation. Probably just got tired. But
What kind of fuel system's in this?
it's still stock pump, but they've got a secondary pump, like an inline pump. It comes on at 5 pounds or something.
Right.
You know, as soon as it sees boost, it'll kick the secondary pump on.
It's like a hop switch or something, or is it just an ECU, basically?
But just an ECU.
Yeah.
Same thing that controls the methanol. I got a switch for the methanol so I can turn the system off.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's on, then yeah, same thing. When it sees like 2 pounds or something,
Right.
it'll allow the system to kick on.
Let's see if we go out later and you wanted to, I don't know, see if I can get some rollers, and maybe if you want to launch the car or something.
Yeah.
It's just always cool to get like a back video of it taking off, you know. Or some external video, I should say.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.